Today on the Sports Payoff, we take a look at the NFL playoffs, the latest NBA trade rumors, NHL suspensions, and more.
Holy cow!
Hello and welcome to the Sports Payoff. Last week we looked at the NFL Wildcard weekend where I went 3-1 in my predictions. My only loss being those upsetting Seahawks. This guy went 1-3. He couldn't get anything right. Now what are we going to do this week? Find out right now. Whit, who do you want to start with?
Ravens, Steelers.
Good matchup, good matchup.
I like the Ravens in this one. These teams are 1-1. You got Flacco, you got Roethlisberger, you got Polamalu, you got Lewis. You got two really good teams. It's going to come down to who plays a better offense because these teams both play very stingy defense.
Hard-nosed defense. I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers for the only reason that I've got a man crush on Troy Polamalu. I don't know whether it's the Head and Shoulders hair that he's got flowing down there, but I do know the guy is sick. Yeah, you can talk about Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, all the difference makers on the Ravens, but their offense hit and miss. I don't really know if they can sustain it like the Steelers can, so I'm just going to go with my gut and go Steelers.
All right, sounds good. Next game on the tidbit, Jets and Patriots. What do you think?
Well, I really don't think the Jets are going to do much. I picked them to beat the Colts, as we know. However, they really struggled to beat the Colts. The Colts doesn't have a very good defense. Their offense struggled, and the Jets barely squeaked one out. You know, I really don't think they can shut down Brady. They just can't. He's too good.
All right, you picking New England. I'm in the same boat as him. I like the Patriots. Patriots had the highest scoring offense. They actually had a differential of more than 77 points on the closest team, which was the Chargers. But the Jets at the same time have a really good defense, so that makes you think that we might have a close game with the defense and the offense. But I'm going to take the Patriots. I believe it was their last game against the Jets where they absolutely just destroyed them. I'm going to say we're going to have a repeat of that. That's what's going to happen.
Alrighty, next up on the docket, Green Bay versus Atlanta. You and your boy, Matty Ice.
Yeah, I'm really upset that Michael Vick couldn't be playing anymore, but the Packers did their thing today, so I'm going to go with my boys and say a 14-point spread by the Falcons.
14-point win for
I
the
do
Falcons.
not. I do not like the Packers. I have a total non-man crush with the Packers.
I'm not a Packers fan either, but you can't deny the defense they have.
You know
Aaron
what?
Rodgers is a beast.
It's a total homer pick.
Quarterback.
Total homer pick. We're going Falcons on this one.
Well, obviously you've discerned from my pick there from the discussions. It's the Green Bay Packers. Atlanta does have a pretty potent offense, but they don't have the defense that the Packers have. Packers have offense, they have defense. Atlanta just has a nice offense, so I really don't see them doing much. Of note, though, is Matty Ice's impressive record at home.
22?
Something like that, yeah.
22.
It's pretty high up there. So, you know, could we see...
I got it right here. 20-2 at home.
20-2 at home. We could see 20-3. We could see 21-2. I'm going Packers. He's going Falcons.
All right, last game. Sorry, last game on the docket. Seahawks and Bears. What do you think?
Well, to be honest with you, I kind of wanted to go with the Seahawks last week just to, you know, change it up a bit. And I was really tempted to go with them this week, especially since, you know, the Bears really don't have much of an offense. Yes, okay, they've done well this year, but I mean, you just can't trust that offense. I mean, they're not proven. The defense is damn solid, especially with Urlacher and the boys helming it up. So I'm just going to have to go Chicago. Seattle did beat the Saints, and their offense outgunned the Saints' offense. The defense held them, but they're not going to be able to out-defend one of the better defensive teams in the league.
I'm going to go on the opposite of this one with you. I'm going to say the Seahawks. The only game that the Seahawks and the Bears played this year, the Seahawks took 23-20. The Bears were 6-point favorites to win that game, and the Seahawks ended up winning that game. The Bears were 0 for 12 on third downs, and they yielded 6 sacks. I'm going to say the Cinderella run continues, and they go on to the next round.
All right, so there you have our picks. 3-1 last week, 1-3 this week. Let's see if Whit can even it up. We're going to move on now to stats and streaks. This week, we look at the Vancouver Canucks starting out. Their last 21 games, they're 17-1-3. For you NHL non-fans out there, that means they've only lost once in regulation. Whit, what about those Canucks?
You know what, man? I'm a homer for the Canucks. You know that through and through. These guys have outright only lost to St. Louis. They've lost in overtime to Detroit and Tampa Bay, and they just lost in a shootout to Detroit a couple nights back. They were fighting for the division back 21 games ago. They're now 12 points clear of Colorado. They're close division competition. They're 20 points clear of the Flames, and they're 25 points clear of the Oilers, and I don't even care about the Wild. I love it, and even if they were to go 500 at this point, they'd still break 100 points and easily make the playoffs. So,
are they your Stanley Cup champions this year?
Yeah, I say Pittsburgh and Vancouver in the finals. Vancouver in 6.
You think Luongo can man the fort well enough this year?
It's a Vezina for him this year, too.
A Vezina, I don't know about that. But Vancouver does look pretty good to get into the finals, conference finals, maybe even the playoffs. Let's move on to basketball now.
Yep.
Yao Ming has decided that he might be retiring. It's not official quite yet, but if he does go out, he will be retiring with averages of 19 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 blocks for his career. Whit, where do you think he stands all time? And do you think he's actually going to retire? Would a trade, perhaps benefit?
Well, actually, there were reports today, because I believe he actually went into surgery today for his injury. He came out and he actually said that he wasn't going to retire, but he could be another Favre where he says yes, no, yes, no. Straight fact is, this guy has been plagued with injuries since 2004. The first 246 games he played in the NBA, he only missed 2 games to injury. And after that, the last, 6-7 years, he's had 6 injuries, 5 involving his foot, 1 involving his hip. I'd say this injury is the last and he doesn't play again.
Where do you rank him all time?
Not even in my top 15 or 20.
I was actually looking at the stats today. All-time career averages, he's not even in the top 30 for points or rebounds. Or actually, let me rephrase. He's 29th in rebounds, not even in the top 30 in block shots. So, and that's not even close to premier talent. He's big because he's the first big man from China, and he's got the massive following overseas in Asia. But I agree, he's a decent big man. Not even close to Hall of Fame material.
No, for sure.
Okay, moving on. Let's go back to the NFL. Let's check out that Seattle game. In that game, New Orleans, Drew Brees threw for 404 yards. Only got a couple touchdowns out of that, though. Hasselbeck, much fewer yards. He ended up throwing for 4 touchdowns that game. In all the games in the regular season, Hasselbeck didn't throw 3 touchdowns once. Not even 3 touchdowns. This game, he blew him away for 4 touchdowns. Now, do you think that was a result of the poor New Orleans defense, or do you think that was just a nice, cohesive, strong performance by the offense?
I think Seattle wanted it more than New Orleans, straight up.
Really?
Yeah. Hasselbeck, people doubted him. People were saying that they should have started Charlie Whitehurst.
I called him a dinosaur.
Exactly, they didn't. They started Hasselbeck, and he came through for the Seattle faithful. A lot of people in BC actually cheer for the Seahawks, so it's good that they kept moving on. But, Hasselbeck blew us away. It's nothing short of a miracle for those Hawks.
How big of an advantage do you think that home field played? Because the Quest Field actually has been known around the NFL as the most electrifying stadium to play, and it's the loudest. It's the most distracting for the opposing offense.
You know what? I would say probably minimally. There are some teams that have those advantages at home. I know the Seahawks, I believe, went 5-2 or 6-2 at home this year. So they had a good home record. I don't know if that's indicative of the people that are screaming or if it's the Seahawks just playing that way at home. It's tough to say, but regardless, Seahawks are moving on, and I love it.
I've been to a couple games at the Quest Field there, and it is loud as hell. However, when Drew Brees throws for over 400 yards on offense, the stadium can't be too loud to distract him because he's throwing for 400 damn yards. All right, in the big games, you need your big stars to show up. Who didn't show up this week?
The Reggies.
The Reggies. Reggie Wayne and Reggie Bush. Combined, crap.
Yeah, 50 yards combined. Reggie Bush catches for 49 yards all game. That includes rushing. That includes receiving. And Reggie Wayne went 1 for 1. 1 catch, 1 yard. Both those teams lost. It's indicative on their stats.
When you have big name talent, big skill like Reggie Wayne, you've got Peyton Manning, one of the best all time. He's got to find his guys. Yes, you've got Darrelle Revis and Cromartie on you, but you've got big guys covering you all season long. You've got to find a way to put the biscuit in the basket if you're those guys. Okay, you've got to catch it. You've got to run it. You need offense. Those guys aren't getting it done, and that's why their teams are out in the first round.
Yep.
Today on The Last Stand, we're going to be looking at the latest NBA trade rumors. First up is BC boy Steve Nash. Phoenix is talking about trading Steve, even though he's ready to commit to the Phoenix Suns long term, And by long-term, I mean for the rest of his career, which is only going to be 2 or 3 years, tops. They're in full rebuild mode over in Phoenix, so they want to get rid of him. And a lot of New York faithful are trying to get him over in with the Knicks, and I really don't understand that. Raymond Felton this year is averaging 18 points, 4 rebounds, and 9 assists. That's pretty dang solid for the point guard. He's matching up with Amari Stoudemire very nicely. Phoenix Nash this year, he's averaging 17 points, 3 rebounds, and 11 assists. So they're almost comparable. However, Felton makes far less money, and he's far younger. It makes no sense at all for the Knicks to pursue Steve Nash. Moving on to Carmelo Anthony. The Nets, for some reason, are obsessed with landing Carmelo Anthony, and I have no idea why. The last trade rumor to go through was that they had Derek Favors, 2 or 3 first-round picks, and Troy Murphy going to the Nets in exchange for Melo and whoever else matches up for cap-type space reasons. That doesn't make any sense. You're giving away 2, 3, 4, 5 players to get Carmelo Anthony. And I'm sorry, but Carmelo Anthony just isn't that good. He's shooting 30% from three-point land for his career. He's shooting 25% this season. His career averages 24 points, 6 boards, and 3 assists. That's really not that great. I mean, yes, he's great, but he's kind of one-dimensional. He's only a scorer. The Nets would be better served long-term going ahead with Devin Harris, Derek Favors, and keeping those round picks. New trade rumor, though, just released today, is that they want to get the Detroit Pistons involved, sending Rip Hamilton out of Detroit. Detroit will take Troy Murphy, and then you've still got your Derek Favors and the picks and everything involved. That's a little bit better trade for the Nets, but I still don't see why anybody would do it. So, in my last stand, New York's got to hold pat, and the Nets should keep rebuilding and getting better assets. Don't trade away the future. Don't trade away everything you have for one big player.
This is the final stand on the NHL. I'm going to talk about Langenbrunner for the second rounder. I'm going to talk about headshots and sucker punches, and I'm going to talk about the All-Star Game. Let's start with the All-Star Game. The All-Star Game, to me, has always been a joke. Ever since Gretzky and Lemieux in the old days when you used to win a car if you got a hat trick, it's been pretty, I'd say, not watchable anymore. Brendan Shanahan has got his nose in this. He's created a new format where essentially you're going to pick 2 captains and they're going to pick a bunch of players. It's going to be like playing ball hockey out in the streets, you know? So I like it. I'm hoping it works. It might interest the average Joes, or it might just make a complete mockery of it further. It's being televised on TSN, and this is their last crack at making the All-Star Game actually something to watch. NBA does well. NFL's Pro Bowl's fun to watch. Even Major League Baseball's watchable. This has never been for at least the last 15 years, and I hope they do well with this. Moving on, headshots and sucker punches. The NHL is the first year that they have brought this headshot and sucker punch rule kind of in, where they're actually looking at everything. They did well with Andrew Alberts. When he got punched, they did well with the Ben Eager on Cody Armstrong. They did well on the Kostopoulos on Brad Stewart just recently. They messed up on the David Steckel hit on Crosby. He was completely blindsided. The guy has a concussion now, and we don't know how long before he won't be playing again. They need to get rid of the gray line that they've created where they say that there's intent or not intent. They just need to nail everybody. You know, Eager and Shelley, guys like that, their teams were losing badly, and they took it into their own fists and knocked these unsuspecting players out. And it's the one part of the game that I hate, and I want to see eliminated. The Langenbrunner for the second rounder, it's a cap dump. Devils are horrible. They're looking almost as bad as the Islanders. It freed up about $2.8 million for the Devils, but including long-term injured reserve, they're still about $8 million over the cap, so it's not really a cap relief. If you're a Dallas fan, you love this. If you're a Jersey fan, you're probably looking for an Islanders jersey. So that's what I think. That's the final stand on behalf of Kasper and myself. Thanks for watching the Sports Payoff.